Aviators, how many of you own an OMP M4 Max with a loose XT60 connector? After hundreds of flights, that connector can start to wear out. Here's the problem. What looks like a little bit of looseness can eventually turn into a very big problem in the air. Loose pin terminals at this connector put your model at risk of an in-flight shutdown and an unexpected meeting with our friend, Terra Firma. So today, we're gonna take care of it. I've got a new connector ready to go. So let's get this old one replaced and get this M4 back in the air. Oh, if you have ever fought one of these connectors while trying to solder it, I'm gonna show you a simple trick that makes this whole process a lot easier. All right, let's get to the workbench. All right, let's dig into this. All right, little backstory here. I was in the process of rebuilding this M4 after an unscheduled impact with the Earth. You know, the whole entire time in the back of my mind, I knew that this connector was starting to get loose and could become a problem. Initially, I was just going to forget that fact, that I should probably make this repair. But then I started wondering, who am I going to blame when this loose connector causes an in-flight shutdown and I turf my fresh rebuild? All right. So I was getting lazy with my repairs. Well, not anymore, and not today anyways. So we're going to break it down and repair it correctly. The official name of this connector is an AMAS XT60 E1-M. Well, that's a fancy name for a panel mount XT60 connector. Now you can get these on Amazon. There's online retailers that are really popular in the drone world. So they're not Buddy RC didn't stock them, just so you know. Not a huge deal. They told me where to go to get it. So I appreciate that. Now I didn't want to completely unwire this helicopter to make this repair. So that's where the Uku Helping Hands soldering stations really come in clutch. You know, I've got all sorts of clampy things and I can support these parts and move them into the correct position. So glad I purchased that. All right. The first thing we're going to do is, after things are supported, we're going to remove the old XT60 connector. Pretty straightforward. Heat up the joint. The connector pops off. That's not a whole lot to talk about there. I did want to mention, I mean, what a lot of you guys are wondering is like, why are your speed controller wires so short? Yes, that's a Hobbywing 120. Yes, it fits in the space, barely. That's why my leads are so short. I have a tendency to pound on my helicopters like a pissed off teenager, and I have a tendency to overheat speed controllers, especially on these models because the airflow isn't real great, and neither is my collective management. So anyway, this is one of those rare times where I curse my superhuman talents for making everything more complicated than it needs to be. Now, what I just did there, or what I'm doing, is using copper wick to suck up the excess solder, clean up that joint, and then using the needle nose pliers to go ahead and resize, reform that wire so it'll fit, basically slip into the new connector, you know, in a good position for me to solder it. The key to soldering, at least for me anyway, is preparation. We want to make sure that your wires are prepared. They're tinned, they're formed correctly, they're cut to the right length. You got to have ways to support things, because when you're in the middle of soldering, it's going to take just a second after you've gotten the solder on there for that joint to cool off enough for it to support itself. So here I am applying some new heat shrink to this positive speed controller lead. It was a used speed controller. I had it in some other models. So I had some damage on the insulation, and I'm using this. Oh, see what I'm doing there? Yeah, pro tip for you. You've probably seen this before. Stretch out your heat shrink using your hobby pliers. That works really, really good. This heat gun, I tell you what, you want to talk about a game changer. I am not desoldering circuit boards or lifting components off of circuit boards. I bought this thing and I use this thing so far. Only for heat shrink. And it is the handiest damn thing. All right, here's the secret. Here's the big secret. Okay, here's your panel mount XT60 connector. Here's a female. Bam, put them together. That's it. That's the secret. You know, I don't know why I couldn't figure that out on my own. For years, I've been soldering up these connectors and the pins get loose and they float around in there when the joint gets hot. By doing that, you are adding more thermal mass to the connector, and then you're holding those pins in position when you know the plastic's gonna loosen up. And then when the joint cools and the plastic cools, everything's camped right where it needs to be. Oh, split screen. Action camera time. Well, hopefully everybody on this field trip signed the waiver. Prepare yourself for getting sick when you watch this video. Sorry it's so shaky. This is kind of my first time doing it. Let's talk about this. Kester solder. Recently, I stepped up my soldering game. I spent the $50 on a roll of Kester solder, and I will never look back. That solder just melts so evenly and it flows so nicely into the joint. I mean, people have talked about it for a long time. Buy this solder. I think it makes a big difference. That roll is like a 1/4 mile long, so I'm pretty sure I'm set for the next 10 years of soldering. I just encourage you to do it. You know, it makes a difference when you're working with quality tools. So you see how the soldering station and, you know, you're using those arms to bend down and force the connector and the wire together into a good position before I solder. That's really, really important. If you don't want to ride the struggle bus when you're doing something like this, just take the time, get things supported and prepared, and then you can actually focus on, you know, what you're doing and not rush through it. You can take your time, make sure it's done correctly. While I'm soldering this up, maybe we should talk about what makes, you know, how can you tell if you've got a good solder joint? Well, one of the tells is a nice, smooth, shiny surface. You know, that joint should look bright and glossy, not dull and grainy. The dull matte finish usually means a cold joint. Just reheat it and reapply that solder. You know, you also want to see no visible pinholes or gaps. It should be mechanically solid. Tug on it, the wires should not flex where it's actually soldered. And then, you know, you want full wetting. And what that means is that solder should flow on both sides being joined. And you know, ideally you don't want it to blob up on the surface. You want just enough solder to secure that electrical connection. All right, here we are. We're wrapping things up, coming to the last chapter of this book. Let's make sure we're using Loctite out there, gentlemen. And yeah, I do use the best Loctite in the worst possible bottle. SAB. If you watch this video, hey, fix your bottle cap, will ya? Come on. Everybody knows it. Even you know it sucks. So a little help here would be greatly appreciated. All right. Now I wanted to talk about the M4 and the M4 Max. Hey, OMP, Jonas, great job on this helicopter. I really enjoy flying it, and you did a great job designing it. It flies incredible. Okay, guys, that's all I got for now. We will see you in the next video. All right, aviators, there we have it. The XT60 connector is replaced. Everything is back together, and I can fly knowing that if this M4 crashes, it's probably because I ran out of talent, not because I took a shortcut during the repairs. If you've got an M4 Max that's seen a lot of flights, this is definitely something to keep your eye on. A loose power connection might seem like a small problem, but it can turn into a big one in a real hurry. Now, that soldering station that I used in the video was a big help in getting this connector replacement done. If you want to check out the full review, click on this video right here. It'll take you right to it. Thanks for watching Overspeed RC. I'm Shane, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the flying field.